There comes a moment in every person's life when everything becomes quiet, the noise of the world fades, the opinions of people disappear, the distractions stop, and in that silence you are left with only one thing: yourself, your thoughts, your dreams, your regrets, and the promise you once made deep inside your heart. A promise that said, "One day I will change." Maybe you made that promise after a failure. Maybe you made it after someone doubted you. Maybe you made it during a painful night when you realized that the life you were living was not the life you were meant to live. You looked in the mirror and said to yourself, "Enough is enough. I refuse to stay the same. I'm going to become better." That promise is that quiet decision, that moment of truth. That is where transformation begins. But let me tell you something most people will never admit. Making the promise is easy. Keeping the promise, that is the real battle. Because the moment you decide to change, life will test you. It will test your patience. It will test your discipline. And it will test your commitment to the person you said you would become. The world is full of people who promise themselves change. They say, "Starting tomorrow, I'll wake up earlier. Starting next week, I'll work harder. Starting next month, I'll focus on my goals." But tomorrow comes and nothing changes. Next week arrives, and the habits stay the same. The truth is painful but simple. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. Most people fail because they break the promises they make to themselves. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose a little trust in who you are. You start believing that your words mean nothing. You start believing that discipline is impossible. But the truth is this: discipline is not impossible. It's simply uncomfortable. And most people are addicted to comfort. Comfort tells you to sleep a little longer. Comfort tells you to scroll on your phone for another hour. Comfort tells you to delay your dreams until tomorrow. But here's the problem with comfort. Comfort slowly destroys your potential. It keeps you trapped in the same life year after year. And one day you wake up and realize something painful. The years have passed, but the change never happened. That's why the promise you made to yourself matters. Because deep inside your heart, you know you were meant for more. You know you were not created to live a small life. You know you were not meant to waste your days in fear, doubt, and excuses. You were meant to grow. You were meant to evolve. You were meant to become someone stronger than the person you were yesterday. But transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. Transformation happens in daily decisions, small choices that nobody sees. The decision to wake up early, the decision to train your mind, the decision to work on your craft when others are relaxing. Those choices may seem small, but over time, they build something powerful. They build discipline. And discipline is the bridge between the person you are today and the person you promised yourself you would become. Think about the greatest people in history: athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, legends. Do you think they woke up one day and suddenly became great? No. They became great because they honored their promises. They showed up every single day. They worked when they were tired. They pushed forward when the road was difficult. They stayed focused when the world tried to distract them. And slowly, day by day, they transformed. But here's something important you must understand. The road of discipline is not easy. There will be days when you feel tired. Days when motivation disappears. Days when you question whether your effort is worth it. There will be moments when the voice inside your head whispers, "Maybe this is too hard. Maybe you should quit. Maybe you should go back to your old life." That voice will always exist. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has heard that voice. But the difference between winners and everyone else is simple. Winners do not obey that voice. They obey the promise. They remember the moment they decided they would change. They remember the pain that pushed them to grow. And they refuse to go backwards. Because going backwards means betraying themselves. And when you betray yourself enough times, you lose something priceless. You lose self-respect. Self-respect is built when you keep your word to yourself. When you say you will wake up early and you do it. When you say you will train your body and you show up. When you say you will work on your dreams and you stay focused. Every time you keep your promise, You become stronger. You become more confident. You become the type of person who knows they can rely on themselves. And that kind of confidence is unstoppable, because when you trust yourself, nothing can break you. Not criticism, not failure, not rejection, because you know something powerful. You know that no matter what happens, you will keep moving forward. The truth is this: your life will always move in the direction of your habits. If your habits are weak, your future will be weak. If your habits are strong, your future will be powerful. That's why change starts with discipline. Discipline in how you think. Discipline in how you spend your time. Discipline in how you treat your goals. Most people treat their goals like hobbies. They work on them when they feel inspired. They chase them when it's convenient. But the people who truly succeed treat their goals like a responsibility. They show up whether they feel motivated or not. They stay focused whether the results are visible or not. They keep going even when progress feels slow, because they understand something most people ignore. Consistency beats motivation. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline is permanent. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And when discipline becomes your lifestyle, everything changes. Your mindset becomes stronger. Your energy becomes sharper. Your focus becomes unstoppable. People start asking you, how did you become so disciplined? How did you change your life? And the answer is simple. You kept the promise. You remembered the night you said you would change. You remembered the pain that forced you to grow. And you decided that quitting was no longer an option. Because quitting means returning to the person you worked so hard to leave behind. And that person no longer exists. You are evolving. You are becoming stronger. You are becoming more focused. You are becoming the person you once dreamed of becoming. But remember this: the journey is not finished. Growth never stops. Every new level of life requires a new level of discipline. Every new dream requires a stronger mindset. That's why you must protect your focus. The world is full of distractions: social media, negative people, doubt, fear. All of these things exist to steal your attention. And attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you focus on negativity, your life becomes negative. If you focus on excuses, your life becomes stagnant. But if you focus on growth, your life transforms. That's why successful people guard their attention carefully. They limit distractions. They avoid negativity. They protect their mindset, because they know that their dreams require full focus. And the same is true for you. Your future depends on how seriously you take your promise, the promise you made to become better, the promise you made to grow, the promise you made to change your life. And let me tell you something powerful. The version of you that you dream about already exists inside you. The disciplined version, the confident version, the unstoppable version. That person is waiting for you to activate them through action. Not tomorrow, not next year, today, right now. Because every day you delay your growth, you delay your future, and life moves fast. Years pass quickly, opportunities disappear. That's why the time to act is now. The time to honor your promise is now. The time to become the person you said you would become is this moment. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, remember the promise. When you feel tired, remember the promise. When you feel like quitting, remember the promise. Because the promise you made to yourself is more powerful than any obstacle you will face. And if you stay disciplined, if you stay focused, if you refuse to betray that promise, one day you will look back at this moment and you will realize something incredible. The promise you made to yourself did not just change your habits, it changed your mindset. It changed your confidence. It changed your destiny. You didn't just improve your life. There is a powerful moment that happens in the life of every human being. A moment that does not happen in front of a crowd. A moment that does not happen under bright lights. A moment that happens quietly when you are alone with your thoughts. It might happen late at night. It might happen after a failure. It might happen after life humbles you in a way you never expected. In that moment, something inside you wakes up. You look at your life. You look at your habits, you look at the direction you are going, and deep inside your heart you say something powerful. You say, I can't keep living like this. You say, I know I'm capable of more. And then you make a promise, a simple promise, not to the world, not to social media, not to friends or family, but to yourself. You say, I will change. You promise yourself that you will wake up earlier. You promise yourself that you will stop wasting time. You promise yourself that you will become disciplined. You promise yourself that you will finally become the person you know you are capable of becoming. And in that moment, the fire begins. But here is the reality that most people never talk about. Making the promise is easy. Living the promise is hard. Because the moment you promise yourself change, life begins to test you. The next morning, your alarm rings early. Your mind whispers to stay in bed. Just 5 more minutes. Start tomorrow. And right there in that moment, you face your first test. Not a test from the world, a test from yourself. Because change is not built in the big moments. Change is built in the small decisions you make every single day. The decision to wake up when you said you would. The decision to work when you feel tired. The decision to stay focused when distractions are everywhere. You see, most people want success. Most people want a better life. Most people want discipline, but very few people are willing to do what discipline requires. Discipline requires sacrifice. Discipline requires patience. Discipline requires consistency when motivation disappears. Because motivation is temporary, motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel powerful. Some days you feel unstoppable. But other days you feel tired. Other days you feel doubtful. Other days you feel like quitting. And that is where discipline separates the strong from the weak. Because discipline says, I will show up whether I feel like it or not. Discipline says, my commitment is stronger than my mood. Discipline says, the promise I made to myself matters more than temporary comfort. Comfort is the greatest enemy of growth. Comfort is what keeps people stuck in the same life for years. Comfort is what convinces people to stay in situations they hate. Comfort whispers, this is good enough. But deep down you know the truth. Good enough is not the life you were meant to live. You were meant to grow. You were meant to challenge yourself. You were meant to discover how strong you really are. But that discovery only happens when you step outside comfort. Think about the strongest people you admire. Athletes who push their bodies to the limit. Entrepreneurs who build something from nothing. Leaders who rise after failure. Do you think their journey was comfortable? Of course not. Their journey was filled with pain, filled with sacrifice, filled with moments where quitting would have been easier. But they kept going. Not because they were superhuman. Not because they never felt tired, but because they remembered something powerful. They remembered the promise they made to themselves when no one was watching. The promise that said, I will not settle. I will not stay weak. I will not waste my potential. And when life tried to push them backwards, that promise pulled them forward. Your promise has the same power, but only if you respect it. You see, every time you break a promise to yourself, something inside you weakens. Every time you say you will start tomorrow, you teach your mind that your words mean nothing. But every time you keep your promise, even when it's hard, you build something powerful. You build self-trust. Self-trust is one of the most powerful forces in the world. When you trust yourself, you become fearless. You stop doubting your abilities. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop waiting for permission to chase your dreams. Because you know something powerful. You know that if you say you will do something, you will do it. And that level of confidence cannot be taken away from you. It is earned through discipline. It is earned through consistency. It is earned through the daily decision to honor the promise you made to yourself. Let me tell you something important. The world will not always believe in you. Some people will laugh at your dreams. Some people will say, you can't do that. That's unrealistic. That's impossible. But their opinion does not define your future. Your actions do. Because success does not belong to the most talented person. Success belongs to the most consistent person. The person who shows up every day. The person who keeps working when others stop, the person who keeps believing when others give up, that is the person who eventually wins. And you have the ability to become that person. But it starts with honoring your promise. The promise you made when you decided you would no longer accept an average life. The promise that said you would become disciplined. The promise that said you would take control of your future. And make no mistake, your future is being created right now. Right now, through the choices you make, through the habits you build, through the effort you give every single day. 5 years from now, your life will be the result of the actions you take today. Not the actions you plan, not the actions you talk about, but the actions you actually take. So ask yourself a question. Are your actions aligned with the promise you made? Are you living like the person you said you would become? Or are you still living like the person you promised to leave behind? Because growth requires honesty. You must be honest about your habits, honest about your effort, honest about whether you are truly committed to change. And if the answer is no, that's okay. Because today can be the day everything changes. Today can be the day you recommit to your promise. Today can be the day you stop making excuses. Today can be the day you step into discipline. And discipline will transform your life. Discipline will make you stronger. Discipline will make you focused. Discipline will help you build a mindset that refuses to quit. When discipline becomes your lifestyle, everything changes. You wake up with purpose. You work with intensity. You move through life with confidence. People start noticing the difference. They notice your focus. They notice your work ethic. They notice your growth. But they don't see the quiet moments behind the scenes. They don't see the mornings you woke up early. They don't see the nights you stayed disciplined. They don't see the sacrifices you made to become better. But you see them, and that is what matters. Because real growth happens in private. Real transformation happens when no one is watching. It happens when you choose discipline over distraction. It happens when you choose effort over excuses. It happens when you choose progress over comfort. And slowly, day by day, your life begins to change. Your habits improve. Your mindset sharpens. Your confidence grows. And one day you wake up and realize something incredible. You are no longer the person you used to be. You are stronger. You are more focused. You are more disciplined. You have become the person you once dreamed of becoming. And it all started with a simple promise. A promise you made in a quiet moment when you decided your life needed to change. A promise that said, I will not waste my potential. I will become better. I will rise. So when the road becomes difficult, remember that promise. When motivation fades, remember that promise. When doubt appears, remember that promise. Because the promise you made to yourself has the power to change everything. It has the power to transform your habits. It has the power to reshape your mindset. It has the power to build a future stronger than anything you can imagine. But only if you honor it, only if you protect it, only if you treat it as a commitment, not just a wish. Because the truth is simple. Your life will always reflect the promises you keep. So keep the promise. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. Keep moving forward. And one day you will look back at this moment with pride. Because you didn't just talk about change.